Hey everyone, on this episode we're talking about something I learned in college. Yep, I went to college at the age of 35, but I learned it, and it's called the Sunk Cost Fallacy. It's something that is an absolute pillar of the fire service that they don't teach you about until usually it's too late and you've learned your own lessons. I'm talking to Katie today. Of course, we go off and tell different stories and have a little bit of fun, so check it out. Go to the 4Shift Fitness website and buy us a coffee, and that's it. Here comes the intro. Skip forward 30 seconds if you want to get right to the episode. This is the Tailboard Talk Podcast, the best health, wellness, and lifestyle resource for the fire service. We're using stories, lessons, and tips from the front lines to give a realistic view of what the job can do to us and how we can make it out alive. I'm Chris Morella, a firefighter since 03, medic since 05, full-time since 08, and promoted to lieutenant in 20. I'm also a personal trainer and strength coach, and I'm here to give you the best information and host the best discussions to make us capable and durable, both on the job and away from it. So grab a heater, steal some fancy creamer from First Shift, and let's go chat. You ready?
Yep.
I can edit late. I keep saying it. I think this SD card's on its way out, so hopefully we got this. Otherwise, maybe we'll delay a week, or it'll come on a Thursday. Okay. So first of all, like we were talking about before, I think a little congratulations is in order for both of us because we've been doing abnormally adult things.
I know.
Lately.
So adultish.
Both participating, which is strange.
So strange.
I did try to pawn off some shit onto you today at the Verizon guy because he was like, if you're the primary account holder for the Verizon account, what you'll do is just sign into Hulu once the switch is over, and then once you sign into it through your Verizon app, then the Verizon picks up the bill. And I was like, well, just put that on my wife's son because she does all the bills and stuff. And he's like, no, it's just as easy. I'm like, no, really, just put it on her account. And he didn't. So my task will continue in 3 days when our billing cycle resets, and I have to reset our Hulu, so we have free Hulu now.
Do you want me to set a reminder to remind you to do all that?
We also have to turn our phones off and on again. We're doing some real...
Whoa, that's one too many steps.
We're getting pretty old. And then you were doing insurance stuff?
I know.
Yeah, like shopping around rates and stuff.
I know. It was very...
Both kids got baths tonight. I mean, we're doing really good with this stuff.
Very adultish.
Yeah, I mean, we're making some real strides in this whole
I know.
functioning adult thing.
The only thing I'm refusing to do is open our retirement account. I don't want to see what that looks like right now.
Oh, like look at it?
Yeah.
No. Don't even worry about it. It's not great, I'm sure.
No.
So we'll just wait until sometime not any soon to now.
I mean, our financial guy hasn't called to say, so guy.
He's not going to pick a fight. He's not going to go looking for trouble.
No.
I can tell you that the old guys at work are freaking out. So
that makes sense, though. I mean, we're far enough away. We'll recoup everything, but
yeah,
I can't imagine being someone who's going to retire in the next 2 to 5 years.
I can imagine being someone who's going to retire.
Not the next 2 to 5 years, buddy.
It's all up to you, boo. Well, you had some good topics, I think, for future episodes. I've had this thing stuck in my head. This, like, what's it called? It's not a principle. I showed it to you. What would you call it? A theory?
Yeah.
I had this theory stuck in my head after a few conversations this week. It's called the Sunk Cost Fallacy. And what it is a major pillar of the fire service that they don't advertise or tell you about. Because basically what it is that you made this far, you might as well keep going. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like a distilled down version. The most common example of it is like you go to the movies and you buy popcorn and a drink and you sit down, and 10 minutes in, you know this movie is terrible and you're not going to like it, but you're there and you spent the money, so you might as well sit through the next hour and a half, you know? Mm-hmm. Time and time again, it's disproven. It's never good to do that.
Right.
It's always better just to cut bait and get out and then go do whatever else you'd rather do, you know? Mm-hmm. And I had a few conversations with the guys this week about one about promotion and one about like being on a committee, more or less. And it came up, and it was one of those things where I was like, if you don't like what you're doing, then stop doing it. Like, don't continue putting time and effort in just because you've been doing it and you feel like you have 7 years in, so you want to get to 10 years, some arbitrary number of being in this position or whatever it is. And the same thing with somebody I was talking to about promotion. They feel like since they've attended the classes and they got their bachelor's and they put their name on the list that they should go forward and just test now, even though they're kind of like half in, half out. Mm-hmm. I said, well, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. And that's not me saying like I don't want you to test. That's me saying if you're not going to actually want to do it and do a good job in it, then I'd rather not have you there. Like I don't want you to be a slug of a peer that I have to pick up the messes for or follow up and clean up your mess when I inherit your guys that you haven't paid attention to because you don't really want to be in that position, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's a trap. It's a total trap. And so I want to talk about it a little bit because I think it's just all through the fire service. But what can you think of where you've seen something like that, or we've been in that position before where it's like, I don't want to do this, and I know it's probably better to stop, but I mean, we're here and we've invested this much in it, so might as well just keep going or get our money's worth is a big quote and all the definitions of it, you know.
I mean, not one in particular is like coming to the forefront of my mind, but I can think of that there's definitely been multiple situations down from starting even just starting something on Netflix and it's like, well, now I got to see this through. I mean, just as something as mundane as that to we were actually just talking about this to kind of go back into adulting. We were just talking about life insurance.
Oh yeah.
When we first were we married or were we just like engaged? I can't remember. Anyways, we were paying into a life insurance policy and quickly realized that we were paying a lot of money for something that we didn't quite need at the time. Mm-hmm. And it was something really, we didn't need the two types that we were paying into.
Yeah.
And at the time for us, it was a lot of money. I think it was only like maybe $500 a month.
Yeah.
But at the time, two young people starting out was a big chunk of change. And we quickly realized, like, we get it's important. We don't need to do this. Why are we still paying for it? And I had the uncomfortable conversation with the person we were dealing with, which was way out of my scope. I was very proud of myself to say, yeah, thanks, but we're just going to cancel this. Can you just send us whatever?
Yeah.
And
I think we got the money that we put in, but not the...
Yeah, whatever. We got a nice chunk of change back that we were like, okay, just squirrel that away.
Interest or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the guys at work actually that said, I was telling him about it. He's like, he was following Dave Ramsey, and Dave Ramsey's against it completely, like the term one, I think.
Yeah, he wants you should do whole life, they say.
Yeah, and I can't remember what he said exactly, but I was like, when should I stop paying into it? And he told me, well, it depends on how much money you want to lose. Like, if you're tired of losing money, then stop now. If you want to lose some more, then keep paying into it. And I was like, crap. And yeah, we were sold on it as like a long-term investment or a mid-term investment, I think, with a steady and like guaranteed return.
I don't know. I just know that he said this is what's going to cost because you guys are young and healthy. You should definitely have it. And you started talking about it. I was like, okay, my eyes glazed over. I was like, well, if Chris thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so that was one thing that we kind of fell into, like.
Well, we saved ourselves from doing it. Yeah, we said we're not just going to keep doing this because we've put 3 or 4 years into it. Might as well
not
do
even
17 more or whatever.
I think you had started it like for a year and a half, and then I came in and we did it for 6 months, and then we said after talking and doing some more due diligence, we're like, this isn't what we need at the moment.
JK.
So
yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one. That's like kind of a big one since we just talked about that today.
Yeah.
But no, I think, I mean, even down to, not anything serious, but we've gone to restaurants before and then the atmosphere isn't what we want, or we're just like, ugh, we don't really want to do this or be here or whatever, and like weirdly just left after we've been seated.
Well, we just did it, not that, but we did an example of it on, we kind of talked about it last time where we were going to go on the hike on the last camping trip, and we got all the stuff together and got everybody's shoes on and got Sawyer in the backpack and got sunscreen and bug spray on everybody. And then before we even got through the park, out of it completely. And so if we would have like doubled down then and proceeded on that, like dragged them into it, that would be an example of sunk costs. Like, hey, we drove here, we got everybody dressed, we're just going to do it.
Yeah.
You know? And instead we were able to pivot a little bit, mostly because I was exhausted and I was like, I can't.
Like the beach sounds way better than a walk.
I can't possibly fight with this kid anymore. So let's just do whatever the hell he wants to do. And self-preservation are my way out of this. But that'd be a good example. Lots of people would be like, no, we're going to do this and we're going to have fun, damn it. And then go forward with it. And we kind of dodged a bullet on that one. We've also seen it. So at my department, we've seen a few times where we've had people leave now before 20, like between 10 and 20 years, which is relatively unheard of. And more people are doing that because they're like, I just don't like the way this is going, and my wife works or my other works, and I just don't want to do this anymore, so I'm going to take what I made and get out. And that just seems absolutely crazy to people, because if you're tier 1, like me and a couple people behind me are tier 1, you just got to make it 20 years, and then you can get 50%.
You're talking about your pension or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you make it 30 years, you get 75%. I think that's how it goes. So for someone to leave before 20, you don't get a pension. Like, even when you turn 50, you don't get a pension.
But you pay into it? You still don't get it?
Yeah, you'll get back what you paid in, basically, I think. It's not even something I really looked at, because...
Like, that's still something.
It absolutely is, but it's not...
The substantial.
It's not in perpetuity. You don't get it every year with 3% raise or whatever a cost of living raise is. And then even more crazy to people is we've had people leave 10 months into their probation to go to another department and basically start over again. And a lot of guys are like, what are you doing? Like, you're 2 months away from having a full-time job, you know? And that blows people's minds. Like, how can this guy leave when probation's about to end? He's about to have a job that pays him well and in this cool city, and the person's like, well, I don't want to work here. Like, I
say, but doesn't that make you kind of happy? Like,
I am happy with it, yeah.
I mean, because the last thing I would want is anyone to be anywhere because they feel obligated to be. Like, that's just not going to make for a cohesive, like, work environment.
Well, and I did it too when I left also.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I was only there for 4 months.
Was that it?
Yeah. And I was like, well, I took this job because it was available, and another one came available, so I'm going to go, you know? And people there were like, you got to be kidding me. Like, why would you're in. Like, why would you leave a sure thing, you know? I was like, because I don't want to. But yeah, it blows people's minds. I'd always rather have someone leave and be happy. And not even, like, I don't even care if they go to a department next to us or far away from us or in a different state, or just quit altogether and do something else. Yeah, I don't want to deal with... If that person's not in it now and they're smart enough to know that they're not going to get in it, what kind of help are they going to be 15 years from now when they've endured all the stuff that someone who is happy about it has endured and still turned out kind of jaded and angry, you know?
Right.
And that's just the case by us sometimes. It doesn't have to be. Nothing wrong with recognizing the situation you're in and then getting out of it.
Well, don't you feel like that's kind of just the new workforce in general now? Like, gone are the days of our parents' generation who stayed at one company for 20, 30, whatever years. And now it's, I mean, I know at least like within my group of working girlfriends, people start switching jobs with a handful of exception, with a handful. With the exception of a handful of them. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. I'm not even drinking.
Exceptions?
Anyways. That they get a new job probably every maybe 5-6 years. And it's whether it's, you know, now with the big thing obviously is remote working. People are just finding like, you know, there's lots of cons to COVID. But I think one of the pros, what I've heard from friends who've had to travel for work, is just being able to work from home, and their company's kind of staying in that way, or having now a hybrid where it's 50-50 or an option to come into work. Like, I think just...
Well, it's definitely
the new norm now is not staying.
It is. I think it's definitely that way. And the fire department's a totally weird universe where there's a couple traps in the fire department. And the first one's just that, of like, you're at one place for up to 30 years. And everywhere else, I think the average is like 7. You'll change your job 7 times in the course of 30 years.
Does the fire department run kind of parallel as far as like the police go? As far as your pay, pension... Like the tier 1s and all that, like.
I don't know about their tier 1 or tier 2. That was a fire department thing.
But I just mean like.
Or a city thing. So it could.
Do police generally stay like 20?
Yeah.
Plus year. Okay.
Yeah, it's similar in that regard.
Okay.
But they suck. So, but they whatever. The other one is you keep, the more you stick around, the more money you make, right? And then you get raises through your contract, or you get however it ends up working. And then you start buying stuff. And then you're making more money, but you don't have any extra money laying around, right? Like when we were in the small house, we had X amount of disposable dollars, and now we have
no disposable dollars.
I'm making substantially more, and we have
I'm making substantially less.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of the student days.
Oh my gosh.
You know, if we just look at just my salary, right?
Right.
But then another trap is you get into thinking like, there's no way I can live in a house of less than 3,000 square feet.
Right.
And I can't possibly retire and make less than $80,000. It's just not possible. And, I can't not drive a truck, and my car can't be older than 5 years. Like all these things that are definitely unwritten. They're not like requirements, but there's just these traps you keep falling into.
But I also don't think if you're someone who likes to get a new car every 5 years, there's nothing wrong with that if you can sustain that.
Well, yeah, if that's your thing, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of keeping up with the Joneses going on.
Yeah.
And then you dig yourself into this hole, and we lose sight of the fact that those are our rules that we kind of put on ourselves. Like, the average person switches jobs 7 times.
Right.
A vast majority of the country does not have any pension to look forward to, or it's coming in.
No.
But in our minds, it's unfathomable that we can leave and not get a pension of $80,000 or more or less.
But you guys are all too like a product of your environment. This is your circle. This is your bubble.
That's what I'm saying. Our environment, it's a trap. It's a total screw game. So, that kind of goes along with the sunk cost thing, because you'll get guys that are like at 20 years and they're miserable, or even like they know that they're in a good spot and they could leave, but man, if I accumulated 1.5% per year on my pension, maybe I can just stay. If I just my pension, and I'll also be closer to 50, or I'll be 50, then I can collect immediately after I leave. In the meantime, you've blown 8 to 10 years doing this thing that you stuck around for when you could have been gone, still collecting some money and doing whatever you want somewhere else.
Yeah. So do you think this new generation then of guys coming in and ladies coming in, do you think they'll to 20 years? Obviously, I think that gone are the days probably of your 25 to 30 year on.
Well, now that
people,
I think so. Everyone in tier 2, I think, has to be there for 25, and they don't collect until 55.
Is
so
that
everything
everybody
went up 5
though?
years. What?
Is that ever no one can collect till they're 55, or just that tier?
No one from like 2010 on that got hired, or somewhere around there. So I'm at 20 years. It starts your pension.
Okay.
You're eligible to draw a pension,
Okay.
and then you can collect it at 50 years old.
Okay.
So if I retire at 43, I'll go without pension for 7 years, and then as soon as I turn 50, the pension will kick in at whatever rate I left at.
Gotcha.
Right? If I stay for 30 years, I retire at 53, then I'll get a bigger pension, but collect immediately.
Okay. You're not retiring at 43.
I know, maybe 45.
I'm like, that's way too close.
I know. But it's possible. So.
No, it's not.
But tier 2 went up 5 years for everything, I think. So they get their minimum pension starts at 25 years on, and then they can't collect until 55 years old.
That stinks.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And
then there's some other stuff that doesn't accrue as fast also, and something doesn't. There's a couple different key differences where it really kind of took the wind out of the sails, which it's a cost-saving measure.
Yeah.
Somehow. I never really looked that closely into it.
I wish I could get more into like the numbers of these things.
Yeah, well, you will be in 7 years. You'll be deep in my numbers because
I'm already deep in your numbers.
Bye-bye. To my job, not to you, probably.
Real nice. It's too expensive to get rid of me.
I know.
I mean, you can. I just get everything.
I mean, you're free to.
You're free to.
Go for it.
I'll take your money.
Go for it.
It's fine. I'm taking everything.
I know. You have. So that's kind of the trap that people fall into, though, is like, I don't know. There's a ton of them, but a lot of them I've tried to tie back, probably incorrectly, to the sunk cost thing, and just realizing that, like, if you ever justify it as like, well, I've come this far, I might as well keep going.
Yeah.
I guess sometimes that's useful, but anything that you truly don't want to do, or it's like a true obligation that's not benefiting you, and you use that justification, it's a loser. Like, that's not the right thing to do. 100%. And I think a lot of times with the fire department, we're usually hesitant. So if I think of like a committee or a team, or like going for promotion, like if I was going to go for captain, and I don't want to right now, right?
Right.
If I made myself do it out of obligation, it would probably only be because at this point, because I'd be like, someone else put an expectation on me. And now I feel like embarrassed, or like I was underachieving if I didn't go for it. You know? And I think that's usually what happens, is like people that finish probation they don't want to, or won't leave a certain team, use it as he's a quitter. You done more, but you chose not to because you're weak or soft or whatever. When really it's like sometimes you just don't want to. Like
For
sometimes
sure.
you're just
Well,
the thing
and do
runs
you
its
think?
course and
And do
you're
you
all
think
done.
though? I think that kind of comes with. This is gonna make me feel old and sound old, but like I think it comes with age, too. I mean,
Being able to leave, like,
just not feeling obligated.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Not even keeping up with the Joneses, but just caring what other people think who don't matter.
yeah,
Essentially, I mean, obviously, I care what you think about something I'm doing or what I'm doing or just in general.
Yeah.
But Joe Schmo on the street, like, I don't care what they think.
well, good because they're saying some pretty nasty stuff about you,
Well, they're probably saying some pretty nasty stuff about our front yard right now, Mister.
Mister.
You cleaned out the shed and didn't put half that stuff back.
Oh, you mean the stuff you're gonna put in the garage sale last week that never made it out?
I did not sign up for the garage sale last week.
Good
I was not
talk.
prepared.
Yeah, I know you weren't prepared.
I was
You're not gonna be
ambushed.
prepared for the other one that doesn't happen
Okay.
either.
Anywho's, I think that's something that comes with age.
Yeah,
Just and confidence. I mean, no matter what you're doing in your 20s, I think you're going to be probably more confident in yourself, like in your later 20s, and then in your 30s, you're going to care less. And
well, you know what you want too.
Mm-hmm.
Like by that time, you know if when you're in your 20s, you're like, well, I'll try stuff just to see if it's what I want to be a part of, and blah blah blah. Like, you remember when I was on? I think I was just ending probation, and I tried to get on the fire investigation team. It was like
yeah.
It was like
I
a
do.
last minute thing. I don't think I qualified like through. Like I didn't have the education that they wanted. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what level it was or whatever, or I don't know. But they let me interview for it, and I really wanted to do it because I was like, well, this would be really cool. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't get picked for it, and then probably like 4 or 5 years later, I was like, thank God I did not get picked on that team because I definitely would have still been on it, like out of obligation or
Right.
out of. Like the department invested this time in training me and going to school, so I got to fulfill my duty to it,
Right.
and all that stuff. But I was also assigned to the ambulance, so the thought of being up all night on my shift and then going home and then getting called out at 2:00 in the morning to go take pictures of someone else's fire that I didn't get to go to. And
Did
that
you get
ruins-
paid for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that ruins 2 nights of sleep. Then
Yeah.
the thought of doing that was just like the worst thing I could think of at the time. You
Yeah.
know? But if I had taken that opportunity and gotten picked, I would have been in that situation. Mm-hmm. Now at the age of like 37, which sounds weird, if somebody's like, hey, do you want to be on the investigation team? I'm like, nope, because I know what it entails and I know what that's about and I know what my future is on the ambulance with my split time now, and I don't want any part of it.
You're like,
you know?
yeah, I'll work the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. shift.
Yeah, schedule me for the business hours. Good. Or schedule me from 8:30 to noon on Tuesday, Thursday now, because otherwise, no thanks. So I think just being in the fire department universe for longer and knowing what you do and don't want to do will benefit.
Well,
you know.
and just to circle back to like everyday
Let's
use.
circle back to that.
Circle back. I guess not really circle back, but to the general public, I mean, people now, even in their 20s, are completely changing lanes in their 30s and 40s. And, you know, I mean, what I went to school for, I'm not doing. And what I was doing, I should have done first, but I didn't. And now I just get to take care of 2 kids all day.
Now you do everything.
Now I do everything.
Yikes. Anything else? I didn't write down too much stuff, but
No.
I think that was pretty good. But it's a fallacy. That's the bottom line, is that it's false. So if we're ever in that position where it's like, well, we might as well just keep going, like that hike in the Porcupines, we could have turned around 2 miles and we're like, what's 11 miles?
Ugh.
Right?
Yeah. What's
Well,
11 miles?
Now we know. Now we know what 11 miles is. It was a fallacy.
All freaking day.
It was a fallacy and dozens of snakes.
Hundreds of thousands of snakes. No,
So,
I think.
We'll refer back to that whenever we're in that position again and be like, we're starting an 11-mile hike with snakes right now, just so you know.
I mean, there's really
And
only.
there's a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old snake is what I'm talking about.
I'll take the hundreds of the 3 we actually saw.
Yeah.
No. I think don't do what you don't want to do
Yeah, and if you're doing it, stop doing that. Do
if you
something-
can.
Yeah.
I mean, do what you want to do.
Okay.
Just don't hurt anybody. Be nice.
That's probably better advice. Okay, so if you guys like what we're talking about, go to the Fourth Shift Fitness website, fourthshiftfitness.com, number 4th, shiftfitness.com, and go to the Buy Me a Coffee button and just buy a couple coffees. Let us know that you like what the show is doing and you like these talks with Katie. If you want anything else, check out the website. It's got shirts and hats and stuff there too. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Do you want to do the durable capable thing? You remember it? I changed it in the last graphic or something like that I did.
I've listened to it twice. Something durable.
So don't worry, I changed it anyways.
Okay.
Now I just put durable and capable with on the job and away from it.
I was going to say that. I said at the beginning.
I know.
See, I listen.
You do. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.